Welcome to Breaking the Lines podcast. I'm Arlen.
I'm Akeem, and this is a Premier League podcast.
All right, man. Match week 17 done and dusted. How are you doing? How was your weekend?
Yes, sir. A fairly decent weekend for me. I'm not gonna complain. Not good, not too bad. It's an okay weekend. I'm gonna take it. But some entertaining and good games. I was able to catch a lot of games this weekend, so in that sense, it was really good. How about you?
Yeah, same, man. Got to watch a lot of football, and um, s- I'd say probably the last normal weekend before games start picking up and the festive fixture list kind of kicks in. But no, it was a good weekend. I think. Not bad, right? A lot of games, good games too. Some good results, some interesting results, some interesting games. Excited to look forward to the games next weekend. Kind of upset we don't have the Boxing Day that we usually have this year, but it is what it is,
Bro,
right?
I noticed that so late, honestly. I literally noticed that like after last week when I was looking at the fixtures and I realized like we don't have boxing game fixtures anymore. But I guess we should have kind of predicted it, right? With these 3 o'clock kickoffs, all games on Saturday and no games on Sunday. It really has shifted kind of like to please US, I would say more from we're here in the US, so we can say it, but more is shifted to please the US market a lot, in my opinion, which
Yeah.
is, I don't know. I don't know. I guess we'll see how it goes, but yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, I think you and I both are used to that like festive Christmas, Boxing Day fixture list that's congested. But I think also, I mean, it's so much games, that you need some sort of a break, right? So,
I
um,
think also as well, not everything like, in terms of the viewers, but I do
yeah,
agree
yeah.
in terms of the break as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's jump right into it. Match week 17. First up was Chelsea at St. James Park, away to Newcastle, and a 2-2 draw here. Which ironically enough, I actually predicted spot on. I didn't watch the first half of this game. I did watch the second half,
Hey,
and what a free kick by Reece James, man! Absolutely amazing, amazing free kick.
you missed a horrible. We got played off the park in the first half. The funny thing is, like watching that game, I could just think about the pod. That's all I was thinking about. Like, and the one thing for me, which was I was very, very happy with even in the first half, I was like, yeah, Newcastle deserved it. But what I will say is that we also deserved the second half. But I would say that Newcastle were by far the superior team in the first half. It was a game. I mean, they all are, but it was definitely a game of two halves. And like you said, what a free kick. And the timing of the free kick as well kind of just helped us. I think we could have won and win the game, but nevertheless, I think way at New St. James's Park is always we're gonna take a draw if we can.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a tough place to go to, especially as of late. But yeah, good game, good goal by Reece James, and then João Pedro with a little tussle there and getting away from I forget who that defender is. I don't think it
Oh,
was
it's Tal.
Shar Tal.
No,
Yeah,
it's Tal. Yeah,
yeah,
he scored 2 goals a couple weeks ago, and then everyone like transferred him into their fantasy.
yeah. And he went and made a mistake, which I think was a good kind of tussle for the ball, and it was an assist by Robert Sanchez too. So I don't
Yeah, I
know.
was gonna say
I don't know how many
what
fantasy
an
points that
assist.
is, but I'm
I got
sure.
four, whopping 4 points. Why the Brighton goalkeeper? I'm sorry, I chopped his name up, but the Brighton goalkeeper literally had 11 me, and he was on my bench all my days.
4 points with an assist as a goalkeeper is wild.
I think we're conceding 2 goals. It makes sense, Like
Yeah,
I would be upset, but I understood it after conceding 2 goals. So,
yeah,
but still, what an assist, like you said, from him. I think it's something I've seen more and more
yeah,
since kind of like the Club World Cup.
yeah. Well, good game. I think, like I said, I didn't watch the first half, but based off what you're saying, seems like it was a fair result, 2-2 in the end. I think Chelsea take that and move on. They have, I'd say, probably an even more difficult game this weekend coming up, but they're home, so they have that going for them. But points shared at St. James Park, not too bad, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's too bad. Like you said, unlucky we weren't able to see the game for us as Chelsea fans. Not really a first half to be proud of, but I think it was a good Premier League game, especially for the advert and for the neutrals and stuff. But yeah, I wasn't like I said, watching the first half, I'd say 100% Newcastle were all over Chelsea, even though they made some schoolboy mistakes. And then in the second half, I think even Chelsea could have went on. Newcastle as well. They missed a couple sitters with Barnes and a couple close calls there. Could have went on and won the game. But yeah, I think at the end it was a deserved draw, I'll say, based on both halves.
Yeah, absolutely. That kind of takes us into the next sort of bunch of fixtures on Saturday. First up, we have the Bournemouth Burnley game. I actually didn't watch this game. I watched the Brighton Sunderland game in this kind of round of fixtures. To my surprise, I think I was actually texting you during the game when I saw Semenyo scored, and I was just, I don't know if I know you know the Ian Wright meme where he finds out
Yeah,
that
that his
yeah,
teacher.
yeah, that was my face when I saw Semenyo on the score sheet,
Uh,
because I was like, I for sure
that's
thought he was going to AFCON, right? And come to find
yeah,
out, Ghana didn't
God, I
qualify.
didn't.
So, but a 1-1 draw there as well between Bournemouth and Burnley, and Burnley, scraping the draw late on. Armando Broja with a 90th minute goal to kind of rescue a point for them, which I think is a good point for Burnley, right? And I know Bournemouth have not been great lately, but any points I think you get down in that bottom for Burnley, they'll take. So good point for Burnley, I think. Like I said, I didn't watch this game, so I don't really know too much about it. But looking at the result, I think 1-1, you'd say is a decent result, especially when both I think you and I predicted Bournemouth to win this game 3-0 me and 3-1 you. So
Yeah, and I think also a very, very just flat game in general. I mean, if you look at the Semenyo goal, I know we had the prediction and Semenyo in my fantasy, but if you looked at his goal, I think even that was from like a slight bit of a mistake, and then Boya came on to kind of seal it for Burnley to get the point in the end. But it was kind of a flat game, 0-0 halftime. Like I said, Semenyo goal coming out of a mistake, especially for what we predicted. But I think it's something for me, it's not surprising. I know we played Bournemouth a couple weeks back, and I've been keeping an eye on them, and we've talked a lot about them, obviously, on the pod, but I think they've been kind of going through that up and down. I mean, we gave them praises, so many praises early doors, but I think as this season tapered off, we've kind of see them kind of, have some flat performances, some performances not as energetic as what we saw at the start of the season, I would say. I'm not saying that it's something that they're not going to accept, but it just seems a little bit flat at the moment, whether that is because of the squad, the size of the squad, especially with selling some players in the summer and possibly losing some in January as well. It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I think it was a great point for Burnley when you said, judging from that point of view, where it was a mistake, I think on the Semenyo goal. I think they would feel a little bit hard done by, but still, nevertheless, like you said, a good point. Especially for them, it would be great if you could get three, but when you're in the battle that they're in, any point matters.
yeah, absolutely. Well, we can move into the Brighton Sunderland game, and like I said earlier, this is the one I watched. I mean, of course, I ended up watching the 0-0 draw for 90 minutes. Um, it was still kind of exciting. I mean, there was chances on both ends. It was kind of like a back and forth game up until I'd say probably around like the 70th minute, 75th minute, and then that's when Brighton just kind of really were pushing, and Sunderland were holding in. But before then, I mean, the game could have gone either way. There was chances on both sides, so it still was a entertaining game, I'd say. But no goals. I don't know. We haven't had many 0-0 draws this year, so it's kind of a shock when you do see it, right?
Yeah. I think I was able to have while the Burnley one was going on, I had that one on the iPad, so I was kind of keeping an eye on both, especially because I knew you had Jacques as well, I told you. So yeah, it was a good game. I saw most of it as I seen, and in the last couple minutes or the last part of it, I saw more Brighton pushing for it. So I thought that they would get a winner in the way the game was set up. But as we've seen for I won't even say past couple weeks, but the start of the season, just the absolute like resilience of that defense for Sunderland. It takes a lot to break down, right? So a good point for Sunderland. I would think Brighton would feel a little bit hard done by, especially with how the game went, but still, nevertheless, a good point for both teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we have to put into context too, because we spoke about this a few times leading up to AFCON. But Sunderland with 7 players out to AFCON and, getting a point away to Brighton, missing that many numbers and the first team is very impressive and very good for them. So, hats off to them. I'm still upset with the FPL gods for taking away that defensive contribution for Jaka. Still kind of, feeling that, but good game. Good game. 0-0 draw, but it was a good game.
That was so funny, man. I can't believe they did that to you, bro. I didn't. You know what's funny about it? It didn't happen the same day because those typically happen. By the end of the night, they correct things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I saw they jab it from you like 2 days later.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying because you don't get that defensive contribution until, like, the next day, right? And then somehow, somewhere, someone changed their mind. I don't even know, what you have to do to get that, but, you I noticed my points total went down, and I was like, What could possibly?" I didn't even actually realize it was him until you messaged me, and then I looked at it, and I was like, "Yeah, he's missing that defensive contribution." Definitely, still kinda gripe around that one, but,
What's wrong with this for you, man?
yeah, yeah. Well, next up, we have City West Ham and I'd say a comfortable victory for City. I mean, I didn't watch the game, but 3-0. You actually predicted this one spot on. I had 4, but you predicted 3-0, and sure enough, City win 3-0. Erling Haaland with the points this weekend. Your triple captain.
Yes, sir. I had to triple captain him. I was looking at my thing trying to figure out what to do, and then I saw him versus West Ham, and I said, "This right here." And he does the same thing he always does when I either triple captain him or captain him. He starts early because that first goal was early, so I'm like, "Yo, today is a banker. Like we're about to have 4 goals today." And he could have had one more goal, but at the end, an assist and 2 goals. We're gonna settle for it with 47 or 49 points. Whether we take it and go.
Yeah, absolutely. And City kind of just keeping pace with what they've done the last few weeks. Kind of hunting, I'd say, Arsenal down, and it's a busy festive period. I don't know, man. I think they could possibly end the festive period on top. Looking at some of the games for both sides coming up, but we'll see. But I
100,
think
100%. What's funny is I still do feel the way I felt about them early season in terms of defensively. I think you can get at them, but it's I don't know. It's interesting to see the turnaround because I didn't see this in them, and like you said, you and I both. Not like they've went on any runs, and I still don't see the run, but I just didn't see them keeping the pace as much as they are. It's still early doors, I think. So it'd be interesting to see. I think two things can be truth. They are keeping the pace, but at the same time, we also have to remember that for Arsenal, there's also been some nervy performances, I believe, in the camp. So I think it's a mixture of, if Arsenal keeps to be nervous or whatever case might be, then City will be there. But it will be interesting, like you said, going forward.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess we'll talk about Arsenal's point of view a little bit more because I was thinking something, but we'll leave it for the Arsenal game. But from City's point of view, I mean, I think that, they're doing what they need to do, right? Looking good for them. Next up, we have Wolves Brentford and a 2-0 victory for Brentford. And I actually gave Wolves a point in this game. I predicted 1-1 and you predicted 2-1. But Brentford kind of I feel like Brentford this season is kind of like that silent sleeper team that kind of is doing well, picking up points and just kind of go unnoticed, right? I mean, not to say that they're picking up crazy points, but I think we mentioned it multiple times. We didn't necessarily expect them to be picking up as many points so far as they have. Good, away to Wolves, 2-0 victory, and we saw how difficult the Wolves game was for Arsenal at home last weekend. So I think a good victory for Brentford.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna hold off the same as well. I think it was a great victory for them. Anything. I was watching that game hoping because I had Thiago on my team that he'd do something. I didn't get much from Thiago, but yeah, Brentford, like we said, have been having a great season, but there's a couple of these teams that's been having a good season. So I'm gonna hold my judgment as to hold off a bit because a couple weeks ago we were praising Bournemouth as well. I'm not saying that they've fallen off. Think we've also seen, as the season goes by and the game gets a little bit more, I wouldn't say trickier, but more thick and fast. You can kind of see in those team, the league, the table shapes up into where it's supposed to be. So let's see how it goes as the season goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that kind of takes us to the big one, the 12:30. I think this was the 12:30 one, the Spurs Liverpool game, and it was actually a good game. I watched this game up until I think around the 75th minute. I know it was still 2 for Liverpool, but and I was watching this game and I actually felt up until the red card, I felt that Spurs had a little bit of more fight in them than I've seen from them in, like, the big games this season. So, like and when I say that, I'm referring to, watching them obviously against Arsenal and Chelsea. They just seemed like they had a
100%.
little bit more fight, right?
They did, and we'd have to give it to them. I think it was a red card challenge for sure, but it was also a harsh red card challenge because you can tell from where it's going. But I think they had a bit more fight in them, and I think 2-1 with especially 9 man shows because I think the game against you guys and the game against us, 11v11, it felt like 9 men. So I think for them it was a good step in up in the right direction, I would say. They could try, especially I think the first red card you can excuse. The second one, especially being a captain, you kinda have to, behave yourself or conduct yourself in a better manner in that sense, I think. But yeah, if they can avoid those red card and show the fight that they did, then it would be better for them going forward. So yeah, I don't know. I think good result for Liverpool in the end there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's obviously a good result for Liverpool, right? And I agree with you on the first red card. I think as it was, I felt bad for Xavi Simons because you could tell he wasn't necessarily trying to make a challenge. He was, taking a step, but it's hard to kind of argue with the studs on the back of
Anthony
the calf
Gordon
there.
does those kind of
Yeah,
pressing everyone. The thing is, when I saw that, Gordon was the first one. I don't know if he got in a red card for it once, but he did identically the same kind of, and it's just what it is. And when you're Dembele, those kind of players, yeah, I felt a little bit sad for him as well.
yeah. I think you're spot on with Anthony Gordon. I don't know if it was this season or last season, but I think it was against Liverpool too. It might have been last season, and it was a challenge on
Playing
Van
Van
Dijk
Dijk,
as
right?
well. Yeah, yep,
Yeah,
yeah. So you're spot on with that. I didn't see Romero's second yellow, um, but I mean, I was watching the game. Like I said, I watched up until the 75th minute or so, and I thought to myself, this guy's gonna get sent off too because, and you mentioned it, he's a captain, and at times I feel like it's overly aggressive. You know what I mean? Like I think aggression is something that you 100% need to have, but um, I you know
100%.
I thought it was coming. That second yellow was coming. So
But when you think about it, everyone, I mean, I wouldn't say everyone, but I would say that's why, as much as how he's rated in terms of the Spurs fan base, that's why he's not traditionally at a big, like, not at a traditional Big Six club, I would say.
yeah,
I mean, just because of the little bits that he missed there. But yeah, I think he's a fine defender, but it's always been a little bit too aggressive for me, especially in the moments when your team might need you. I mean, you're a
yeah.
captain, so if there's anyone that they need more than ever, it's you, and we get a red card, which happens. We get them as well at our club, so we're not saying that it's the end of the world, but we just feel like it could be a little bit better there.
Yeah, and from Liverpool's point of view too, to touch base on that a little bit, I think it was an impressive game, I'd say, from Liverpool too. Sometimes I think because I still think Spurs went down to 10 and they saw the first half off, and I thought that they were actually better in that second part of the first half than Liverpool when they were down to 10 men. So I think that credit to Liverpool coming out in the second half and having you know the intent and getting a couple goals. Isak with a goal and an assist by Wirtz too. So I think it's good for him to finally get something on that stat pad there. But unfortunate for Isak coming off with the injury afterwards. And I think I read, I don't know how accurate this is, but I read that it might have been something like a leg break and he's gonna be
Yeah,
out for a
I think he
while.
broke his leg. Yeah, he's gonna be out for some months. You could tell from from the way he went down that it's
Yeah.
not something simple.
Yeah, so I think it was unfortunate for him to kind of, get a goal, but for that to happen in that same kind of action. And then Ekitike with another goal. I think Ekitike has been impressive this year. I think you and I will both agree on that, right? I think that we've both been very impressed by him and his play this season. So no surprise there with the goal for him. 2-0 up, I thought Liverpool would cruise and get maybe another goal or two. And I had to step out and grab a haircut, but I come back and I see that it actually ended 2-1, so I was a little shocked to see that. That's kind of like how the game ended there, in that last quarter of it.
So I'm gonna ask. I have this question, right? Because like, yeah, we talk about Ekitike, and you know how we both sing praises about Ekitike very loudly, because I think he's been obviously the shining star in terms of the attacking players coming into the league. But I want to ask this question: do you think that when we obviously it's a human thing, but when we don't have something, it's easier for us to praise it than when we do have something. Because someone brought it to my attention this weekend while I was scrolling, and I know we talked a bit about João Pedro, but I've been a little bit underwhelmed with him. I wouldn't say underwhelmed, but I think he can do a little bit more. Then they brought it to the table and showed Joao has 8 goal involvement, and I think from this weekend they were matching with Ekitike. Ekitike went on to score that goal. Now he has 9 goal involvements for his club, and for me, it's been nothing but praises, honestly, for Ekitike, and a little bit wanting more from Joao Pedro for me. But when I saw that stat, I was like, it just kind of put things into perspective, and I'm just using like all competition, and obviously the season's still long, but yeah, do you think that? Because I know we have feel very fond of him, obviously, because of I would say we both kind of lack a little bit in our strike department at the moment.
Yeah, I 100% see what you're saying, and I think Chelsea and Liverpool are level on points, if I'm not mistaken, 29 points. So
Sure.
same sort of, I don't want to say same team, but same points. So you're in and around the same area. So you'd expect kind of, it's more of a fair comparison, those two. I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen much of João Pedro in a Chelsea shirt. What I like about Ekitike is it's not just the goals, and I think obviously the goals is the most important thing, especially that position. But I like the fact that he's versatile, and I think João Pedro has this too, where he can kind of float in and around that forward position. Ekitike, one thing I really liked is he creates chances for himself, and I don't know who it was, goal early on in the season where he kind of just picked up the ball and dribbled in from that left side and passed one player, two players, shot and scored. And like I said, I haven't watched much of João Pedro to really give you a fair assessment of the two, but I like that Ekitike has that, and I'm not sure if João Pedro does or doesn't. Like I said, I don't know, but I think he has that ability to kind of create a chance for himself. Where a lot of strikers, I think, don't in today's game, right? I think it's even Haaland, his numbers that he puts up is insane. But I think if you give Haaland the ball and you tell him to go past three players, I don't know if he has that same capability that Ekitike has, right? But that's one thing that stands out for me besides the goals, right? Because when you bring up that their goal involvements are almost identical, it's hard to kind of differentiate. But I really like that about Ekitike. I think that I kind of relay it back to Arsenal, and I'm like I would love to have a striker who can pick up the ball and he can create a chance for himself. He doesn't need somebody to create the chance for him. So yeah, I don't know. I think in today's game, it's all about the stats, and the stats kind of take up the whole show. So I agree with you. I think it's all kind of context. The grass always looks greener on the other side. So that could be it too.
Yeah, I think so. I think when you don't have it, yeah, and there's lots of things that you can pick about each player that you would like or would not like. I just thought that was interesting. I wasn't even trying to necessarily compare the players, to be fair. I was just more from our point of view, because when we have something and you don't have it, I think, like we said, the grass looks a lot greener, and then you get to, talk about it. I know you and I touch a little bit if we didn't like last season when we were making the pod on like Desiree Doué, and look at it now, to see where he's turned out. We don't really hear his name as much. So it was just more like an example in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that kind of moves us on to the Arsenal game, and it was actually an eventful game. 1-0 victory for Arsenal away to the Hill Dickinson, but it was eventful. I think I obviously watched the game, and it was frustrating at times. I mean, I think Arsenal hit the post two or three times, missed some good chances that I thought that they should have put away. Didn't have much of a threat from Everton, I'd say, throughout the game. Maybe towards the end, only being 1-0 up, and Everton being at home, they kind of pressed a little bit more, but still wasn't,
Missing some players.
yeah, yeah, it wasn't too bad. Got the penalty, and I was actually shocked that I think it was O'Brien that conceded the penalty. I was shocked that he didn't get a yellow for that challenge. I mean, handball in the box where, it's like a clear kind of just handball. I was shocked. I thought that should have been a yellow, but not really relevant. I'd say just something that I just wanted to say because I didn't really see anything about it. But I think didn't Van Dijk get a yellow for that too? I think earlier on in the season, it might have been the Champions League, something like that. It was kind of a very similar situation. I don't remember.
I'd have to see the challenge again, honestly, because I forgot it.
Yeah, I mean the ball was crossed in the air, and he just kind of put his hands up and it hit his hand. So it was interesting. But I think the important thing for Arsenal is the 3 points. I think Joker is getting a goal, albeit it's a penalty, but getting a goal, maybe that kind of sparks his confidence a bit.
Yeah, that's good for him, man. As you know, for us attacking players or attacking players in general, it's just always good to get, something on the board. Just kind of get going. And I know it's not something necessarily on the board for him, but scoring goals or creating goals or anything, being involved in those are always what you want as an attacking player. So I think it was nice from Saka. I know Degard as well to give him the penalty. Considering the circumstances, everything that's going on. So yeah, I was happy for him. And long, hopefully he continues.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is, I know we spoke a little bit about Arsenal and City when we talked about the City game, but um, I was thinking this kind of to myself, which is, was kind of giving me a little bit more confidence was the fact that I know you and I have previously discussed like the runs that teams go through. And, I've mentioned that the November, December time is usually a tough time for Arsenal in the league and or has been right in previous years. And they've dropped points and stuff. And I was thinking this, kind of looking back to the last few games, which have been difficult for Arsenal, right? And they haven't played great, and haven't created a ton of chances. Although I think in this game they created some very good chances that they just failed to put away. Um, I was thinking to myself, if this is that run that they have. Difficulties in creating chances and kind of opening up a opponent, but they're not necessarily dropping points. I know that they lost to Villa, but besides that game, this game, the Wolves game, I forget which
Well,
other game, but it's been a run of games, right? Removing
against
that Villa
Sunderland,
game.
I think
Yeah,
Sunderland.
Sunderland. Yeah. So I think if this is that period where, they're going through a tough time, but they're still coming out and still getting points, are still finding a way to win. I think that's promising, right? I think that as an Arsenal fan, you kind of look at that and you're like, okay, we know we struggle usually during this time, but we're grinding out results. That's good, right? And obviously, you and I are not going to know what happens the next 5 to 10 games, but kind of looking at that, I think that's a little bit promising, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I think, listen, I think when you're going, I know for us, it's always been like, it's a flip role for us now. Because I remember back in the day when we were going for titles, and it's almost like the other way around. Like, when you're going for titles, bro, and we were in those positions, to be fair with you, I could tell you now, I'm not, as a fan, I never cared. Like, why I wanted us to. It's just interesting you brought the point up because I watch a couple Arsenal fan TV reaction after the game, and I kind of wanted to see what your thought was. But I honestly, if we, well, I remember, I know you probably remember this game, but we went to Man City with Conte and we won 3-1. And mate, we were nowhere near better than City 3-1 better that day. But I never left that game caring about how we played or anything, honestly. I would love for us to dominate every game and play the 38 games like we're the best team in the league. But I will tell you, we won the league that season. And I don't think we were, even on that day, like now we can beat teams. But on that day, I don't even think we were better than City. It was just the way we set up and how to play them and kind of counterattack. So I think it's interesting you brought that up because I see a lot of fans saying that we won't win games, Arsenal fans, that they won't win games if they continue to perform in the way that they're performing. But for me, it's like I get that and I get the obviously the logic behind it. But I think at the same time, like you just said, we don't know what's gonna happen in the 5 games that's coming. And I think the most important thing, even not to think about back when we were winning title, but last season, you guys are trying to avoid the Newcastle games, the Sunderland game that happens this season. And if you can avoid those games by doing what you did at Everton, a 1-0, and it's not the prettiest, but you got a win and a clean sheet, I think that's everything, mate. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's just interesting to kind of see that. I get what they're coming from. I'm not saying that they're wrong. But if I'm being honest with you, I remember that game specifically. If you can go back, and I don't think Arsenal's had any game like that. I'm not saying that was a bad game, but where they were so outplayed by the other team that they can consider themselves lucky or a snatch and grab. I think it's been some games where you guys don't create or you create from set pieces, but at the end of the day, it's football. You know what I mean, mate? Like you're trying to win, you're trying to win the title, and if you're trying to win, I would love to see a team that plays great. Even Man City that we've seen with 100 points and stuff, they don't play great for 38 games. You know what I mean? They get their wins, their 1-0, 2-1, or whatever the case might be, their scrap wins, and they get it and keep it pushing and get on the road. But Yeah, it's interesting to see that take because for me, I think if I was in that shoes, I would not have been focusing on the performance as much. I would just be, do we have a healthy squad? Are we good to go into the next game? Can we fight? You know, stuff like that. And especially missing some of your center backs and now getting especially one back at least. So you can chop and change with that one. I think, you know, coming through those where you lost two to not drop the points, like you said, I think I would take it as a positive, but that's from my point of view. I can't speak for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely, and I agree. I think, I think it's tough. Like I see a lot of things, a lot of different pundits and people online and stuff, and they kind of everyone wants to dissect every game, and I think you and I have kind of discussed this in the past, but everyone wants to dissect every game, and every game is kind of a pivotal game in, whether it's a title race or whatever it may be, but obviously in a title race because it's a little bit more kind of, the headline. But I think, you know, like you said, over 38 games, you're gonna have horrible games, you're gonna have great games. I think the important thing is just making sure you get the points and you stay kind of um, close or in a position where, come the last 10 games, 5 games, whatever it is, it gives you, a good shot at it. And I think it's difficult to kind of to win a title too after so long of not winning a title. I think you look at every team that's gone on those big droughts, that first one is a tough one, right? And you kind of have to grind it out. Like you said, doesn't always have to be pretty. You just got to get the job done. So it is what it is. We'll see how it is moving forward. We'll see how the season goes. But I think there's positives, right? There's positives you can take. Obviously, finish or you end Christmas on top of the league is not a bad position, right? Whatever the statistics may say or the history may say. I think the last 4 times Arsenal have ended top on Christmas, they went on to actually not win the league. But I think anyone that tells you that top on Christmas is not the pole position to be in, I think is just kind of it's a laughing stock, really, in my opinion, at least.
Well, listen, you know what I would tell you? You can't, when you're in that run-in, bro, you can't read into, especially nowadays. Like I go, as you know, we all go on social media and everywhere. And I see so much things sometimes, you know, I'll send you the funny bits or whatever, but I just see so much things sometimes that I don't even give it the thought of the day, though, to be honest with you. Because as you know,
Yeah,
there's just a lot of
yeah,
people nowadays with opinion and everything, and it's fine. I'm not saying it, but sometimes I just necessarily don't agree, so I can't even elaborate or try to entertain the argument because I can't see, or based on the point that they've made, I can't see how I would agree with that. So I just kind of leave it. And I think that's what most of the things that, like for Arsenal, the most of the problems that you guys are facing is that, like, yeah, people are going to talk, you know what I mean? Us Chelsea fans, Tottenham fans, Liverpool fans, everywhere, the pundits, everything. But like I said, I just gave you that perfect explanation of that City game. And if I was in your position, I'd probably be feeling a little bit more like that because I don't think at the end of the season, I mean, if you guys lose it at the end of the season, everyone will be calling you bottle jobs. And if you win it, then you know what will happen. So I think you have to focus on things to make you win it and not necessarily for years. People have been telling you what to do and what not to do. You know what I mean? And now when you're actually doing it, it's still an issue. Yeah, I think
yeah.
it's something you kind of just
That's
have to just move on with.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. All right, well, I think that moves us into 3 games left. Leeds Palace. This was, I think, the other 3 o'clock game on Saturday,
Team of the
and
week for
a
sure right here.
yeah, I mean, what a result this is. I don't think
Yeah.
anyone would have really, said this. Good result, I think, for Leeds. Obviously, 4-1 to Palace. I know Leeds are kind of, still in and around the bottom, so picking up 3 points for them, I think, is very impressive.
Yeah, when you think about like really 4 goals with, or 3 goals, we'll say with no reply really, because they were comfortably up 3-0 until the penalty in the 90 plus minute. So it was just a great performance and kind of crazy, like what we said last week on the pod, how they gave him those couple games to save his job and what he's been doing since. It's almost like they kind of need to give him one of those again every time, if that makes sense.
Leeds, I think 4-1, good result. I mean, Palace has had a difficult couple of weeks, and I think, I saw I don't know if you saw this, but I saw the midweek kind of game with Arsenal in the cup, and, it was obviously it was a tighter game. They went to penalties, but Palace didn't really look too threatening. I mean, I don't think they had a shot on target until like the 90th minute. So I think they've had a difficult few weeks after like a decent run in. Obviously, losing to City last time out. So interesting to see kind of what happens with them. I don't know. I'm looking at the lineup now for Palace, and I mean, it looks like a pretty strong lineup that they had in this game. I don't know.
Yeah, it was just a little bit off for them. I think they started the game okay and could have probably went ahead in some chances. Played a couple balls up to Mateta that I think could have sticked a little bit better in the start. But yeah, it was just not a very Leeds-like performance, you know. I don't think some of those players are kind of used to what they're not necessarily used to, but you know, they had to rotate a little bit. So you have to give them grace there. But still, 4-1 against Leeds is kind of on their context, it's kind of inexcusable, but it
Yeah.
happens. I mean, I'm a Chelsea fan. We were there a couple weeks ago, so we get it for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, Daniel Farke's kinda turned it around a bit, so credit to him. I think it's a brilliant result, and, I think it kind of boosts, not that I don't think it needed much boosting after, the last kind of run of games, but it boosts kind of the atmosphere, around even more, right? So very good for them, and yeah, we'll see kind of how they move forward. Moving into the only game on Sunday, Villa United and, 2-1 victory for Villa in the end. Bruno came out injured in this one. I thought that, United was kind of lose everything. But to my surprise, I thought United actually played well in this game, kind of played better than I've seen them in the last few weeks. So, obviously Morgan Rogers with the 2 goals gets Villa the 3 points, but some promising signs, I guess, from United, if you could say that.
Yeah, I think they, as like you said, I think they look good as well in the game. When they're coming out, I thought that they were never going to create anything, and then I think in the second half, you know, those brilliant goals from Rodgers there just kind of hit the game away. But I think in terms of even the change of system, was it Martinez in midfield in the second half? I think kind
Yeah.
of made them just looked a little bit better there. So yeah, I think like you said, they look a lot better. Obviously, still a loss, so it's not gonna feel good. And I mean, in the context of where they are, it's a tough one. But in terms of look, I think it's one of the best thing or the best thing I've seen from them the things I've seen from them this season.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe we will see a Manchester United without Bruno Fernandes, and I don't think that we can question his qualities, but maybe all the complaints we've had this year about the system, maybe they look a little bit better without him. So I don't know how serious his injury is and whatever, but maybe we'll get to see a United without Bruno and see kind of how they adapt to that.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting as well. I mean, even when you do say it in that context of him being out, because I someone read a stat, I think it was Rio on his podcast, but I believe he's missed like less than like 5 games in this time period there due to injury, which is crazy. So
Yeah.
the impact that it's going to leave on that team is going to be massive. But I think it also gives those other players a chance to step up if they want to. You know, it kind of is that platform for you now. If you weren't
Yeah.
getting minutes or much minutes to kind of step into that limelight now and kind of shine. So it'd be interesting
Yeah.
to see how they cope going forward.
Yep. All right. Well, moving into the last game of the match week, the Monday game, Fulham Forest, a 1-0 victory for Fulham. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch this game, but I think this was, a needed victory for them, especially considering, they have a couple of their, I'd say, starters away at AFCON with Iwobi and Bassi. I think kind of, when you look at that result, impressive result, right?
Force as well,
Three
too.
points. Yeah, Forest as well. So not Forest this season has been up and down, but they've given kind of everyone a game. But 3 points for Fulham, moves them up to 23 points. Kind of creates some separation, 10 points ahead of West Ham and 18. So I think good 3 points for them.
Yeah, I think, like you said, good 3 points, especially Forrest's been on a good decent run over the last couple weeks since Sean Dice has come in, you know, to keep a clean sheet 1-0. And our boy, who was it? Was it one of your cousins that had Raul up top? Oh my days, bro. I didn't
Yeah.
even pay attention. No, I didn't even pay attention to that game, bro. I thought that I was gonna be on top for the week. Well, that was good from I think it was a good performance as well, kind of like a flat game, but like you said, Fulham has been kind of bit up and down, so they needed that 3 points and to create that separation, especially in the table for them. It's good so that they can be continue to be a Premier League team.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that kind of rounds off match week 17. Table hasn't really changed much, I'd say, kind of in the middle. I mean, at the top, Arsenal still leads City by 2 points. We mentioned it's going to be a congested kind of fixture list, so that very well could change in the next couple match weeks. Villa's still kind of hanging out there.
Villa is doing amazing, man. I think
Yeah,
Villa is doing well.
yeah. Chelsea, kind of rounding off the top four, ahead on
Disappointed
goal
from them.
difference. Liverpool kind of have made their way up
Yeah,
there after their kind of, I say, tough kind of, run of results there. So impressive from them. Sunderland's still hanging around up there, in that mix kind of. And then the bottom three is kind of still the bottom three, right?
it's gonna remain
Not
the
gonna
bottom three for
change.
a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Leeds has dragged himself out and taken himself for now 4 points clear,
Yeah.
right? Is it? 4 points.
Uh
What is it? 19.
6 points
Yeah,
clear of West
six
Ham.
points. Yeah, sorry. 6 points clear. Yeah, 5 points clear for Forrest. So yeah, I think wow, for Leeds that's actually really good. And like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Considering what we were talking about. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think that it will be good going forward. I think it would be interesting. For West Ham, I'm kind of a little bit, but I mean, even their performance and anything that they haven't showed us much that we can really fight for them this season. Obviously, we had Leeds and Forrest has looked a lot better since Dyche has come in. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be, yeah, I think between we know Burnley and Wolves are gonna have it tough, but yeah, let's see.
Yeah, interesting, interesting. Well, that kind of moves us into the predictions. We'll see kind of how this match week alters the table, if at all. But exciting, exciting times. I think we're kind of getting close to that midway points. We'll see what happens.
Sure.
Exciting time in the Prem. We'll jump into match week 18 predictions. To mine and your surprise, I'm sure. United is a early Friday game.
They had to. They could not continue with the same method. There's no way.
Yeah, Friday, 3 p.m. for us here on the East Coast. Tough game for them. I think it's gonna be a very, very tough game for them. Obviously, home.
Newcastle will be up for it. The only thing is, like we said, I think a couple weeks back, I don't know what team it was, but for Newcastle now, the only worrying thing is Old Trafford is so wide. Like their press will be a little bit more difficult now, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
Easier when you go to St. James Park and Stamford Bridge and stuff like that because the pitch is very narrow. But Old Trafford is so wide, so if you're not pressing properly and collectively together, then it could be easy to play around. So I think that's where they
Yeah.
could get caught. But it will be a tough game for Man United. Nevertheless, I don't think it's gonna be
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah. What are you thinking here?
I'm gonna go with this one. I'm gonna go 2-1 Newcastle.
All right.
Is 2-1 our default on this pod? We have a lot of 2-1s.
Yeah, I like that. For the sake of not copying you, I'll go 2-2 for the sake of not copying you. But I like that. I like the 2-1. Forest City, Saturday morning, early kickoff, City away to Sean Dyche's men. I'm gonna give City a 2-0 victory here. I think City will get the job done.
I'm gonna go 3-1 for City.
Okay. All
I
right.
think they will kind of score, but I think Force will also show us that they're kind of improving because they've felt confidence from the past couple results. So I think they can get something for sure on the board. Then we move into your guys against Brighton Munich. Hopefully they can do a job.
Yeah, we'll see, man. I don't know. Yeah, like I said, it's been a tough kind of few fixtures for Arsenal. Not maybe the fixtures, but I mean in terms of how they've played. So, um, we'll see.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I'm gonna give it 2-1 to Arsenal. But again, I don't know.
I might go 2-0 Arsenal. I think Arsenal will find it.
All right, Brentford Bournemouth. This is gonna be an interesting one. I don't know. This is a tough game to predict. I'm gonna go 2-2. But I feel like it definitely will not be 2-2.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna go 1-1. That I can see someone winning like a 2-1. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna go 1-1.
yeah.
Share the points though.
Burnley Everton. This is gonna be an interesting one. I think Everton get the 3 points here. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go 2-0 Everton, even though Burnley's home and they've kind of been strong at home.
I'm gonna go 1-0 Everton.
All right, I like that. Um, this next one, I know the away team's gonna be nil. I just want to know how much you think the home team's gonna have. Liverpool Wolves.
No, what's interesting, I think I watch Wolves, man. They've made it defensively very hard for teams. I know they're losing the game still. It's because even the game against you, like you could testify for. I think defensively sound. They just obviously don't offer much going forward until they feel as if they have to do something. So I'm gonna go just Salah. I'm gonna go 1-0 Liverpool. I don't think it's gonna be something that's crazy.
Wow. I'll go 2-0. All right, next up, West Ham Fulham. This is another interesting one. I wanna say this could be a draw, but I think I'm gonna give it to Fulham. I'm gonna give him 2-1.
This one, I think Fulham has been okay. I don't think they've done anything crazy to pull me their way. I'm gonna go 1-1, especially being at home to West Ham. I don't think they've been that horrible, but especially against these teams, they around that position where this season Fulham's gonna have.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I think I can go either way, to be honest. We'll
Yeah.
see. Chelsea Villa. This is a tough one. What are you thinking?
I'm going 2-0 Chelsea.
Okay.
Think it's tough, but I remember us. I think we're better than Villa. I remember us playing Villa last season and Newcastle. I'm not going to say we could lose the game, but I think Newcastle was a way more tougher game than when we played Villa. I know, but we'll see when we play this weekend. It could be, I could be also wrong, but I think it would
Yeah.
be. They're good. They're on a great run. Don't get me wrong. I think we should have everything to win the game.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're right. I'm gonna give it 2-1 uh to you guys to Chelsea. But I don't think Chelsea's gonna lose this game, man. I think at most Villa might come away with a draw, but I think Chelsea will win.
I think what's crazy
Um,
for me is I'm a Chelsea fan, and there's any media personnel listening to me, if we lose this game, we need to talk and put so much pressure on those American owners because there's no way we should accept where Villa is and the money that we spend, and we should be so acceptable at. And I
yeah.
think that's crazy that people are not talking about that enough. And I'm a Chelsea fan, mate. Like,
Yeah.
I am okay being behind you, City, but mate, there's no way we should accept where we are. And if we lose this game and go even more behind Villa and think that this is the season where we should be proud of. Villa
Yeah.
didn't have the resources or anything, and I think it's crazy that no one is saying that. But watch, if we do lose the game, I think it would be a big topic. Hopefully not, though, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's very valid. Very, very valid. Well, moving into the last two games, the Sunday games. Sunderland Leeds, this is another tough one, man. I think I'm gonna go for a 1-1 draw here.
Yeah, this one is gonna be two teams like that's just tight championship Sunday, mate. This
Yep.
might give us a good game, or it might just give us one of those tight games. But they both will feel. Hopefully, they both let the handbrake go and just give us a good game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Sunderland home. I'm gonna give it to Sunderland. I'm just gonna give Sunderland edging it. Let's go 2-1. I can't see them both not scoring. I think they both will score.
There's that infamous 2-1 that we love. All right, last fixture of match week 18, Palace Spurs. This is a all London affair. Another tough one to call. I mean, I think I kind of like Spurs' chances. I think I saw some fight in them. They're away too, so they seem to play better away. I know that you think it's kind of the same on both sides, but I don't know. I think I'll give a 3-1 victory to Spurs here.
You know what's funny? I'm flipping it on you and going 3-1 the other way.
I like that. I love when we do that because it just makes it so much more interesting.
I think Crystal Palace is going to be at home, and obviously Spurs will be without Romero. I mean, I know they have a couple of defenders to come in, but Romero, I know Xavi Simons, especially with the low creativity. I don't know where you get those three goals.
What's crazy is I think this is one of the things that makes the Premier League so appealing is,
Yeah,
in a game like this, Palace Spurs, you could predict 3-1 either way, and you're just like, you know what, let's run with it.
and that's what
Um,
that's great about it. But I am going to stick with my 3-1 for Palace, man.
all right, all right, let's see what happens.
Bro, I have one question before. I know this has nothing to relate with the Prem, but what were your take on that man, Gui, not Gui, why'd I say Gui? Mark Gahey not celebrating against you guys. What was that all about?
He's coming to the carpet, it looks like.
Bro, that is, I don't know. I watched that and I'm not obviously a Crystal Palace fan, but why? 90 plus minutes you scored an equalizer and you're not belted in the crowd or something, bro?
He's got a pre-contract agreement with Arsenal because we don't have enough defenders.
Yeah, that's what I'm there. Where is he gonna play? Is he ready to
Well,
play a couple games every month or what? What is he gonna do? Is he gonna play left back or full back?
I don't know, man. It seems like we get an every time a player comes back, we get an injury. So, and you know how Arteta loves his defensive signings.
That's true. That's also true. So it'll be interesting, but I thought that was a little bit odd. But yeah, I think
Y-
let's bring on Gabe match week 18.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
before we go into that actually, just on that, I think, if anywhere I could see him coming in and Arsenal not taking up their buy option on the guy we got from Leverkusen.
Oh, and Kepier.
Yeah,
Is that
because he's only
oh,
on loan.
that's a loan with what's the obligation?
It's not an obligation, it's an option. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I honestly didn't know too much. I thought he was yours. But yeah, if he's
yeah,
not, then that makes 100%. And you gotta think about Gabriel as well. Who plays on the
yeah.
left side? Is it Gabriel or Saliba?
Gabriel on the left center.
Okay. I
Yeah,
think he can give. I'm not saying Gabriel obviously is the more dangerous one, but at the same time,
yeah,
isn't he the older one as well? So,
yeah, yeah,
I could kind of see but I don't know. That would be interesting. It's kind of like Semenyo going to City in the January transfer window. I
yeah,
just
yeah,
don't
right?
know where it makes any sense for you, but hey, that's you're gonna win the
Exactly what we
trophies and
needed.
stuff. Yo, that is yeah. That's about it. While I over here have Alejandro Gittins. Oh, listen,
Oh, man.
I don't even hate them as much. I just think that we are not serious when we have to be so patient every season with all these wingers and keep having to
Yeah.
just patient. We're never gonna be serious. Hopefully they continue and give us a good season.
Yeah, I agree, man. Patience only gets you so far. Well, that concludes this week's pod. Match week 18 predictions. Looking forward to it. It's really all from me. A Merry Christmas to everyone, and we'll see you on next week's pod.
Yes, sir. Thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure, my bro. We'll see. Hopefully your games goes well. I was gonna say, I know one of our favorite shows to watch is The Best of Enemies. They do a tally. We need to start doing the tally on the predictions so we can have something at the
Yeah,
end of this. So
yeah,
yeah, I think that would be fun. But besides that, it's thanks for joining us and happy holidays to everyone that's celebrating.
absolutely.